where's Peter? We're good? Okay. What are your favorite things to wear while you're breaking?
First and foremost, clothes. I like clothes. Yes. Jeans are always a thing for me. Denim. Normally, what I would normally wear if I went out. So, if I'm practicing what I would normally go out in, just because you need to get used to it. I was never comfortable with like sweats until recently, but they feel good better at home than to practice in.
So your sweats feel good at home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay, so jeans, just a t-shirt. I like to sweat, but I don't like to sweat, so normally I won't wear a sweater or a zip-up jacket or anything like that, but sometimes I will, depending. Yeah. I mean, at practice, yeah, that's what I'm wearing, like jeans and a t-shirt. Simple, classic, timeless.
Good answer. Okay, what are your favorite colors to wear? And I think favorite is kind of weird, because could this be like, what colors do you lean towards? Or patterns?
Okay, royal blue, like this Blue Jays blue is always like, it's always been my color. I've always leaned towards like the pink and purple hues, more the purple than the pink. As of late, pink used to be about 10 years ago, before it became hip for guys to wear pink. So I was rocking pink at that time. I'm a big camouflage print guy. I don't know why. If it's not a specific color, I'll go with a camo pattern for some reason. And for me, it's just a contrast with what I'm wearing. Normally, I'm wearing, if it's shoes, I like colored shoes, but white shoes is like my main thing, just because, you know, as a b-boy, as a b-girl, as a dancer in general, the focus is heavily on your feet.
Yeah.
So you want people to always see your feet, especially when you're in the dark and you're in a cypher and whatever, and there's minimal lighting. White shoes really stick out, so you really want to let your, feet fly. I think.
It's funny because I did imagine you wearing camo today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
I guess I must have saw you wearing camo a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've kind of already answered this, but I'll ask it again. Do you make different decisions whether you're practicing, sessioning, or battling, or at a jam?
Circumstantial events will let me decide on what I want to wear. If it's a competition, I think you're in there for a specific reason, so you prepare yourself for that reason. And competitions, you're there to like compete, so you're not really there to showcase how well you dress sometimes or whatever. I mean, you can, but then you have to just like really think about what you're wearing that still reflects who you are in a battle, rather than when you're in a cypher or in a jam or whatever. But technically, I do wear the same stuff at session, at battles, at ciphers and jams and stuff like that. Just because, back then they only had one outfit, and it was only one thing. It was just a jam, and in the jam, if a battle happened. They were still rocking the same thing. They didn't change anything. And if they scuffed up their shoes, they had their toothbrushes to like scuffle, like to brush away the scuffs. You know, like they were there to, they were dressed to impress, and they made do with what they had. And if they couldn't do something, then they couldn't, like if they couldn't do a flare in the jeans that they were wearing, they were not going to do it, or they were going to try their darndest to rip those jeans apart. So I don't know. For me, it's like, it's always just been like same outfit at session makes you feel more comfortable on stage or on a cipher. So then that way you're not feeling awkward when you're out dancing. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think that's it. Oh, another pattern that I like to wear. Another pattern, just to go back on that zebra pattern, obviously, because like motherfucking zebra. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but you can bleep that out. So zebra patterns. I'm a big zebra. I do like some animal prints. I'm not gonna lie. There's some animal prints work, you know. So yes. Cheetah. I like floor prints too. Sometimes floral print. If you can rock that shit, go Miami. Yeah, like go whole like
Floral?
like Hawaii 5-0. Like, is that the show? Hawaii 5-0? No. Magnum PI? No, it's Miami Vice. Like, I don't know. Shit, I'm gonna stop talking.
Do you choose comfort over fashion or fashion over comfort?
It used to be fashion over comfort. It literally did. I liked to make sure I looked good, or at least I felt good with what I was wearing, and I could sacrifice what I was doing on the floor. But now if it's either function or fashion, I'd like to mix the two. And you know, I'm at a stage now where, you know, I make, you know, better choices with what I buy, as far as my clothing and my gear and whatever. So I try to make sure that it still fits my aesthetic as who I am and what I like. So, you know, it doesn't really, I don't know. What was the question again?
Fashion over comfort or vice versa.
Yeah.
Do you choose safety over fashion or?
As in?
Okay, so some people will wear knee pads or helmets or other things like that.
Okay, I'm not opposed to any of that stuff, but for me, again, aesthetic. If it's not aesthetically pleasing to me, I'm not going to do it. I choose not to wear knee pads, so then I just make do with not doing stuff on my knees or with my knees. And if I do, it's very minimal, and given that my knees are already bad, you know, I feel like at this point it's nothing that I need to start doing. I mean, obviously it could help, but you know, I work around it. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to helmets if it makes somebody feel comfortable. But aesthetically, it's all about aesthetic. Like, you wanna, I don't know, for me, I always wanna, like, not to look good, but to feel good, as well as like be pleasing to the eye. My eye. No, maybe your eye, I don't know. Here you go.
Okay. What are your favorite brands?
Favorite brands? So over the course of the years that I've been dancing, brands have shifted and whatever, but there's timeless things that keep popping up and I keep going back to. So some of those brands are Levi's. Now I'm like, as far as my denim, my Japanese salvage, like Gap jeans, I like rocking in those. My Naked and Famous denim is always a go-to also. As far as shoes, I like just being classic. So, you know, I'll do my classic Air Force Ones. your Air Max 90s once in a while. Chucks. Chucks are just a must-have for any dancer. Anybody that's like into hip hop, I think it's like a must that you have a pair of Chucks and a pair of Air Force Ones. I feel like hip hop, Air Force Ones. It's very New York, but it's also very hip hop. It screams hip hop. I don't know what it is. The aesthetic of it screams hip hop, and I fucking love wearing it. I'm not brand heavy. Ever since I was even in high school, I was always looking for brands that didn't have a big logo on it or anything like that. So I was always gearing towards brands that were very minimal with branding. So the least amount, the better it is for me. And yeah, I think those are most of the things that, as far as brands go. Yeah, I mean Nike, Adidas, all that stuff is very like generic. But if I'm being specific, all the classics from those brands are always good. Shell toes are always a must. I'm not talking about the new ones, I'm talking about the old school ones with the flat tongue and like the more thinner silhouette of the shoe. Stan Smith, same thing. Air Force Ones, Air Max Ones, Air Max 90s, the 95s. Like those are like go-tos, your Chucks, whether they be high or lows. Those are really good too. I don't know. And I say, I don't know, make them fit you well so you can move. Don't make them too baggy. We're not in the 90s no more. I mean, who knows? It might still come back. But yeah.
Are Air Force Ones, do they have the thicker bottom? Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, going back to like comfort over fashion, I always told myself that like whatever I was wearing, I'm gonna have to like force myself. So, I would wear the out of the ordinary shoes. I would wear the out of the ordinary, like things that normal b-boys would wear. Like b-boys and b-girls, like us as dancers, we always resort to the lighter shoes, and it makes sense because you want your feet to move quicker. You want to move quicker. But for me, I've trained myself to like being in any situation, any shoe that's on my foot, I would like have to really like push myself to make things work. So Air Force Ones, as thick as their soles are, like I love rocking in those. Like I feel badass in them. They feel really sturdy, and I don't know, they still give a badass silhouette. So, another brand that I like rocking, New Balance and Saucony's. If there's shoes that I'm rocking, I really like rocking those. So those are two brands that are comfort, fashion, fucking proper. Drop the mic.
Are you concerned with matching your logos?
Okay, so I've been grilled about this a lot because I was the one. I'm always the guy that's grilling people about it. So if I see you at a jam or at a session and you say what's up to me, I'm gonna shake my head if I see you rocking Adidas pants with those Nike ass fucking shoes. Get your shit together, man. Because if there's one golden rule that's unspoken in hip hop, is get your shit right, man. Like for me, I remember one time one of my boys came to session. He was rocking Puma shirt, Adidas pants, Nike shoes, Reebok socks, and like whatever hat he was wearing. I'm like, holy fucking shit! You're not like, if you're not sponsored by a brand, don't over-brand yourself. That's like a big no-no in fashion. Do not over-brand yourself. Don't Louis Vuitton your entire fucking outfit, right? Like, be subtle about it. Be tasteful. Don't overdo it. I understand the comfort behind what you're doing, what you're wearing, stuff like that. But be mindful of what you're wearing, man. Like, just as much as you give thought into like what you're doing and how you're making stuff, give it a little more thought with what you're wearing too, because like it hurts the eyes for me when I see like too many brands on somebody. Me, I don't like over logoing myself because I'm not sponsored, and like I just feel like it's, for me, it's just a little too much. It's something that is too loud, and I'm not allowed. Like I'm not I guess I'm loud in my own way, but not. I don't like showing people, look at me, I'm cool because I have this brand and this brand and this brand. So, take it down 12 100 notches, people, please. Or I'm gonna come after you. I'm gonna come after you, and I'm gonna dress you up. I'm gonna be your fashion consultant. That's maybe what I'll be, if I have the right to. I hope. I think. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. So have you ever been sponsored?
Technically, no, but we did have a company back about 10 years by the name of Drunken Monkey. That was we were doing shows with them a lot. So they were a small company here in Toronto, and they would just give us, instead of paying us, this is where exposure over money, or money over exposure, comes into play. They're like, no, just rock our stuff. This is what you get. You get free gear. And we're like, okay, cool. We didn't know much, but at that point I was also like, yo, we need to get fucking paid. So they did sponsor us a little bit. They helped us out a little bit. But as far as anything else, no. I did a few Red Bull things, and they sponsored a few things. But other than that, I don't know. And even if I got sponsored by something, it's hard for me to have to fit that into my wardrobe, into my style. Like, I'll make it work, but like it'd just be hard because over branding is just not my thing. So, yeah.
Neat. Okay. If you are judging a battle.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Well, ask it.
Do you ever choose on what they're wearing?
Actually, no, I don't. Well, because it's like, it comes to a point where it's just like anyone can look like anything and still have really good, really superb talent, and like you can't overlook talent just because of what they're wearing. So it's like, do you make a conscious decision to like X-nay them because you didn't like the fact that their shoes was not matching their outfit or whatever? Like, I can't go against that. Like, it's a difficult question to answer, because if they were on a runway like competition, hell yeah, I would say yes, it affects my judging. But like, they're not in a fashion show. They're in a dance competition, so it's more about the dance than it is about the fashion. But at the same time, it just hurts as a judge to, like, guys, don't come in sweats and stuff, like, and looking all scrubby and stuff. Come in with at least a nice pair of sweats that you haven't worn yet, or maybe once at least, so you're comfortable in them.
Brand new sweats.
Something, not mine, but like, if I'm judging, come in with like new gear. Like, don't look like a scrub, dude. Like guys, like everyone, just like come in with new shoes. Don't come in with your busted ass shoes, man. I know you're comfortable with them, but then buy another pair if you really like those ones, and just work the shit out of them until like they're not busted enough for you to battle in. But like, it does to a certain degree affect my judging, but it won't affect how my overall look of their dance would be. So like, I'm still judging them their dance, whether or not they are appropriately appareled or not. So yeah, hope that answers and makes sense and stuff.
Have your fashion choices changed over the years?
Yes. When you get older and you realize what works for you and like what you like, you start leaning towards all those choices more so than you do a lot less trying new styles and a lot more of what's comfortable to you. So for me, I've done, like I said earlier, pink was a prominent choice in like my wear at some point. And I mean, the way I used to rock my clothes, people used to make fun of like how tight my shirts used to be, and like I used to like that shit, and I still kind of like it. It was for the girls. It literally was, and I felt like a superhero at the same time. You know, you can laugh all you want, Jacqueline, but you know, truth about it is like the majority of the b-boys, right? Whether or not you like to agree with me, will say the same thing, that a lot of it also is to attract girls because, you know, a lot of us aren't born in a dance studio, so we have an alternative for dance to tell that, and knowing that girls like dancers, you know, or guys that can dance, you know, you're going to show and prove. So a part of that appeal is like to look good as well as dance good, right? So, you know, to me, I was like, you know, dancing 6 days a week, training like maybe 3 hours, 3 hours a day, and I don't know, I was getting a little buff. I thought my muscles looked great, so I had to wear tight shirts. That's the honest truth about it. And then I realized I was suffocating my own muscles, so I had to stop and just like relax the shit out of my gear. So I'm being 100% honest right now. So I went from like extra small to like medium large. So I think I'm doing good right now, as far as what I'm comfortable with and what I've changed. As far as color choices and like and prints, those evolved over time, and like so how you rock stuff. Like you know, the one pant leg thing was like really prominent in like the early 2000s for me, and now I rock both. Yeah, yeah, and now I do both, and I just, you know, I try to make it a little more tasteful than just the one leg, you know. I used to pop my collars all the time. I don't do that anymore. So changes, lots of changes. You new b-boys and b-girls, man, it's gonna change. What you think is cool right now may not be as cool as you think it is 10 years from now. So shall sign, it changes. So yeah, it definitely changed. But my outlook on things has not changed. I still like it's just pairing things. The way I pair things are still kind of similar. As far as like, you know, sometimes I have a hard time knowing what to wear in the morning because like my shoes and my pants don't have the same tone of color, or like my shirt doesn't match. Yeah, I don't know. It's just stupid, but
It's not stupid.
I don't know.
Okay, when you say tight shirts, are you also talking about the little muscle short shirts? Yeah?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm I'm the saw videos of you with the muscle shirt.
videos?
There's some at the like Back to the Underground. I think so. I could be wrong. It could not be you.
Okay.
You
no,
have a
probably me.
hat
Yeah.
and it's a muscle shirt.
Yeah.
And or some people call them wife beaters.
I don't know. I never understood why they were called white beaters. I mean, I knew the history of them, but I tend to just lean to tank tops. White beaters
Tank
is a little
tops.
too
You used to wear tank tops. Would you wear tank tops now?
Actually, yeah, I still do. Actually, summer, yes, but they're more loose. They're not as tight. They're looser. They're a lot more relaxed. So it's not like they're not like overbearing of my muscles that I don't really have anymore. So it's like, or they're not as big. So I don't have much to like show. You know, so you know the looser, more relaxed. You know, that's where I'm at. You know, that's where my stuff's at. So if I'm wearing tank tops, yeah, they're a little more relaxed, a little more comfortable and flowy. So yeah.
Okay, we're getting towards the end. What inspires your fashion choices?
Definitely culturally, hip hop in general is a big influence. And as far as I say, when I say hip hop, it's a broad thing. But you know, when you look at what people are doing in hip hop in general, like as far as musicians, artists, like anyone that's involved in hip hop, you'll see what I mean by that. And I think we're all generally in my generation, I feel like we're inspired by the same things as far as timeless classics. You know, you have your timeless hip hop outfits, and like, you know, the way you wear your jeans, the way like how much like, you know, of an inseam you should get in your jean now. It's changed. You know, I used to be a 30-34, now I'm a 30-30. Like you go through those changes, and like you know how to like pick and choose what works well for you as aesthetically. Obviously, a lot of like like I tend to go left of center sometimes, and that center for me is, you know, my timeless classic. So when I'm outside of that timeless classics center, I tend to go towards some very Japanese, like anime, very like comic booky type of left of field stuff, but still keeping in taste with like what I normally would put on. So like I would put on a pair of like drop crotch, you know, harem pants, roll them up with like, I don't know, a pair of like patterned socks rolled up with a pair of white shoes and like a, I don't know, a button-up shirt and a baseball hat. I don't know, something like that. You know, like just like, but then I could also wear that outfit with, I can change the pants with just like a pair of, you know, really good denim, and I don't know. I feel like, yeah, a lot of things inspire, you know, my style, but if there's anything, it's like the fashion world that knows what works all the time from past, present, future, and what's always going to work. So like that always like inspires me, and like, you know, you can't go wrong with a pair of really good jeans, a white top, and a pair of good runners. So to me, like, if you look back at all those styles, not even outside of hip hop, or like outside of hip hop, you'll see that style like in every genre of like culture or like music or anything. In any generation, you'll see it. So it's always good to just go back to classics sometimes, and you can still rock the shit out of that. It'll never grow old. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like, you know, Ralph Lauren is like a good example of like a timeless, like most of his stuff, not all of it, like it's just timeless. It's just something that is always going to be relevant, you know. Canadian culture actually inspires me a lot too, like the Outback, like, well, not the Outback, but like the outdoors. Outback, mate. Yeah. Like the lumberjack, like look, the cabin, like, you know, it's very Canadian. It's very, you know, I've been here all my life. Yeah. So like that whole winter look and the whole like, you know, flannel and denim and a good pair of boots and stuff like that. I mean, that's all like, and the denim jacket, you know, that's as hip hop as it is Canadian, because you need all that stuff. That's also function over, like, you know, it's functionality, because the denim jacket is a staple to a timeless classic, but it's also, you know, when you look back at like old hip hop photos, a lot of them had denim jackets with their names and like, you know, the crews on the back of their jackets. So it's something that always recycles and goes through like generations without having to change too much. So, yeah.
Do you have any fashion role models?
Fashion role models. Yeah, totes, dude. Yeah, I think at one point I liked where Kanye was going with his stuff. Now it's a little too Mad Max for me, and a little too much Ray from Star Wars ish to me. It's a little too like out there. It's too like beat up and shit. Yeah. Yeah. It's a little too out there for me. But Kanye with his like college dropout days and like, you know, like his, you know, I understood what he was going through, and I felt what he was going through, because at that same time I was going through the same thing fashion wise. So definitely like guys like again, like Ralph Lauren, he always puts out classics, and it's always nice seeing, you know, classics, and then just classics being flipped around and stuff like that. There's a lot of, I don't know, what else.
That's good.
I don't know. I know there's more. Fred Astaire is great. Fred Astaire is fucking great. Because if I had a choice to wear a suit every day and look as good as he did and dance the way he did, I'd fucking do it. Like, totally fucking do it. But you know, back on the denim. There are guys like Pharrell. At one point, he was pushing some good fashion wear. Who else? There's guys that like I know that I'm missing out. But there's a lot of Japanese that inspire me. Their culture and the way they put things together and the way they look at clothing and their fits and their cuts are really phenomenal. So Japanese fashion in general inspires me, and it's like I look towards them a lot when I'm kind of dressing a little bit sometimes, or when I'm choosing stuff. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So plaid and lumberjack is like another pattern.
Yeah, but I don't go towards it that often.
Oh.
Not too much. It's not a pattern.
But you
that I
like the essence of it.
I do like the essence of certain.
Of the outdoorsy.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is fashion important to breaking and hip hop?
Well then, it's super important. Just as much as like your moves are speaking about who you are and what you're about, so does your outfits, and so do your outfits, and so does like what you wear. Hip hop has always been about individuality and like who you are and how you present yourself as a person, as an individual. So, you know, your moves can be as individual as the next person, but you won't really know somebody. You know, if I see somebody like walking down the street, I can already tell from fashion choices. I mean, this is like stereotyping and also very judgmental, but like, you know, it's just me just being honest. But like, you know, if I see somebody in like a pair of I don't know, some general, I don't know, let's say Uggs, and like, you know, I don't know, in a pair of Uggs, I already know right off the bat, it's like you can either have your fashion that's given to you, force fed to you from media and social outings, or you can go out and find your own stuff and like take what's like society and like the community is doing and then build on that. B-boys have always been about that, and hip hop culture has always been about that. I mean, B-boys I feel like are the staple of why hip hop fashion started, because B-boys were the first, in my knowledge, the first to like collect shoes and go out and get all these different colorways and then mix match their laces and how they wore their laces, and then that translated into like how they matched their hats or how they matched their shirts and like what went well together, you know, and like how they matched their belt with like their shoelaces or something, you know. And then from there it went to hats and like how many hats you had, and like, and then went to jackets, what jackets did you have, and then all of a sudden it went to like what two-piece outfits you had, and then all of a sudden you were collecting all those things. So like as far as a b-boy went, you needed to look fresh. Like back in the day, you're posting up, you were looking good, and you only broke when you needed to break, but you still got up and you still looked good. So I mean, to me, like, it's very important to be fashion conscious, like for yourself only. I mean, I'm not saying this to be, you know, oh, I need to look good for somebody. No, you look good for yourself and you feel good for yourself, and you make people believe that whatever you're wearing is, you know, you, and you make them understand that that's what you're about. You know, I've been heckled a lot for what I've worn and like what I've put on and like what I've matched, but did it stop me? No, because like that's who I was, and like that's what made me, and that's what people recognized me to be, and who recognized who I was. So for me, like, it's super important to strike yourself as an individual with fashion as well as with your dancing, because sometimes you're not dancing and you still want to strike that normally wouldn't know anything about hip hop. So when they're like, oh, I like your outfit, cool, but you weren't even dancing, you know, or like, oh, but I danced too. It's like, oh shit, double trouble. But no, I think fashion is definitely like it's part of the culture of hip hop. So if you're excluding the fashion part in your dance, then it's excluding a part of the culture's essence, because we have a look, and regardless if it's like a style that's very rock inspired, or if it's a style that's very, you know, Victorian inspired, whatever it's inspired from, it's still, you know, you still gotta go through it as who you are, and like in the hip hop essence. That's what makes you an individual. So very important to identify yourself, not just with your dance and with how you move, but it's also how you put yourself together. People see that. Trust me, they do. So I was told to elaborate on quote unquote "that's your hip hop" because I had told. Okay, so I was telling Get Low, aka Michelle, about. She was asking me about hair, I think, right? And then I was like, "Oh, do whatever. It's your hip hop." The way I look at it is that whatever it is you do, however you look at things, is your hip hop. You can't let anyone tell you what to do, what not to do, and what not. Like, this culture is not boxed in. It's a very open culture to, you know, let things in and take things out and whatever. So if you want to do something specific to your style, to your body, to whatever, I mean, if that's the way you want to be represented, that's, again, your hip hop. Hip hop is who you are. Hip hop is you. Like, hip hop is being honest to yourself. Hip hop is, in short, you, like, it's honesty, you know. And if you're not honest with yourself, then you're not living by the code of like who you could be, you know. And that's what hip hop is preaching. And, you know, if there's one thing that hip hop preaches, it's just to be you. And if you feel yourself slipping into, like, you know, the wouldn't say corporate world, but it's the easiest way of, you know, using it as a metaphor. If you feel yourself like marching to the same beat as everyone else, you know, that could be your hip hop. I mean, that could be, but, you know, if there's one thing I've learned from hip hop, it's, you know, follow your heart, be honest to yourself, and be true to yourself. If you keep asking yourself questions and denying those questions because of what people might think and what people are going to say, then you're not living to your fullest potential of who you could be. So you want to wear 2 different pairs of shoes to a jam, that's your hip hop, you know, that's who you are, you know. If you want to wear this raccoon on your head as far as like what you want to be spinning on your head with, then that's your hip hop, you know. Like, no one can say anything different about that stuff, because that's what you choose, and your choices are what makes you hip hop. It makes your hip hop to you, you know. So in going back to Michelle's question and like her doing something to her hair, I had mentioned that, you know, do whatever you want. It's your hip hop. That's your hip hop. You know, if that's what you want to do, that's your hip hop. So in short, be yourself, be honest, because if there's anything about hip hop that it preaches, it's to be yourself. So be honest in whole, and, you know, find yourself through the preachings of hip hop. Oh my God, it sounds like a religion, and I'm trying to get you guys to join this cult. Join hip hop. You will love it.